Today we are diving into one of the most dramatic events in European history, the Protestant Reformation. We'll explore what it was, its main causes, the key reformers, and lasting consequences. Let's start.
The Protestant Reformation took place during the 16th century in Europe, when Martin Luther, a German monk and professor of theology at the University of Wittenberg, called into question some tenets of Roman Catholicism to begin the Protestant tradition. As we know, his beliefs were more concentrated in faith and not in a financial way. That's why this led him to the idea of translating the Bible and leading people to feel closer to God. Martin believed that the church was involved in corruption when he knew that the church was taking money from people to have a safe place in heaven for the families and loved ones, most commonly known as indulgences.
But what is an indulgence? In Catholic doctrine, purgatory is a transitional state after death where souls are purified before they can enter heaven. Purgatory is essentially a place or condition of temporal punishment for those who are not yet pure enough to enter heaven. The indulgences were a pardon extended by the Church. People could pay for it for themselves or their loved ones to reduce their time in purgatory.
In 1517, he publicly challenged the authority by posting 95 theses on the door of Castle Church. Backed by the printing press, this movement was spread to people and all Europe's hand very quickly, and it led them to start questioning their religion and if its actions were pure of corruption and dishonesty. Following the publication of the 95 Theses, Luther refused to take a step back and recant into the theses unless there was something that could prove him wrong. The Diet of Worms consisted of an assembly of governmental and religious leaders called together to settle a political or religious matter. In 1521 Germany, they were called to discuss the teaching of Martin Luther. He was asked to renounce his writing. However, he kept challenging the church by saying that he will not go against his thoughts and teaching of Scripture. Jean Calvin was a French theologian who played a significant role in the progress of Reformed theology by creating his own term, Calvinism. This term was a big source of inspiration with his ideology of how life should be lived by following the sovereign will of God. Nothing or any person could influence God's preordinate, omniscient decision. Calvinism or its followers were also classified as Huguenots in France, Puritans in England, and Presbyterian in Scotland. In order to have a secure male heir to the Tudor dynasty, he sought to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. The Pope refused to this arrangement, and it led Henry to break with the Catholic Church. Parliament declared Henry the head of the Church of England, and his bishop annulled his first marriage but approved his subsequent 5 ones. Despite Henry's motivations being essentially political and personal rather than driven by religious conviction, he had a meaningful role in the English Reformation. King Henry VIII of England took the decision of having the dissolution of monasteries, taking into account the consequences this situation could have as a significant transfer of wealth to the crown, the destruction of religious institutions, and confiscation of their assets. However, despite all the changes that were made during his kingdom, he kept a relatively conservative religious stance, retaining a lot of Catholic traditions and rituals.
First one, corruption and moral decadence. The Catholic Church was seen as corrupt and morally decadent. This corruption destroyed trust and respect for the Church among the people. The Church's practice of selling indulgences was viewed as a manipulation of religious belief for financial gain. In addition, many clergy were poorly educated and did not provide proper spiritual guidance. Their ignorance and the abuses they committed further alienated the laity from the Church. Economic factors also played a significant role. The Church wealth and its demands for tithes and taxes were hard to carry to the peasantry and the emergent bourgeoisie, who were increasingly frustrated by the economic exploitation. Also, the rise of nation-states and the increasing power of secular rulers led to tensions with the church authority. The invention of the printing press allowed for the rapid dissemination of ideas critical of the Church. Martin Luther's writings, including the 95 Theses, spread quickly and widely, gaining support from various segments of society. The Catholic Church split up, new Protestant groups appeared, and there were big fights in society and politics, like the Peasant War in Germany. Also, good things came from the Reformation, like more people learning to read and questioning authority, but it also caused really bad stuff like violent religious wars and people getting persecuted. As we see, the Reformation promoted various ideas that were and will be important along history.